Welcome back, folks, for a new episode of Leaked. And today we'll cover the M46 Patton KR Tiger. So this is going to be a premium tier 8 American medium tank. It's basically a stock M46 Patton at tier 8 with the 90mm gun, the M3. So it's basically this vehicle right here, the Patton tank with a tiger stripe paint on the turret as well as the front of the hull. It's very nice in my opinion. Now this vehicle is currently on display in the United States Army Heritage and Education Center in Pennsylvania. So it does exist, but it's pretty good looking in my opinion. I always like fancy color paints even though they are pretty much useless. So what this brings up is two concept or features that we're likely going to see in World of Tanks soon, hopefully. So first, we could see more decals for tanks, and if we can buy them for normal tanks to be put on normally, like gold or credits, that would be amazing, right? So it's like a personalization to your tanks, which I love. So hopefully, this is a small step towards that, where you can buy different paint jobs for normal tanks, and not just buy a premium tanks with different paint job. So that kind of sucks. But the second issue is a little bit more important. This is going to be a premium tier 8 American medium tank. There's already a tank at that spot, and we usually don't have two tanks of the same category at the same tier for the same nation, and that's the Super Pershing. So what that means is the Super Pershing with its preferential matchmaking might get removed. Read my lips, might get removed. So I would highly recommend you buying a Super Pershing. I highly recommend Super Pershings. Highly recommend you FCM 50T. Highly recommend you buy the Tiger 88, even though that vehicle is already out, so that's a bummer. But yeah, this might replace the Super Pershing, so be aware. And here's a little history about the M46 Patton. This vehicle is basically M26 Pershing modified with a better engine, better transmission, and slight updates to the 90mm gun. So basically a Pershing tank with a better horsepower per ton ratio. Now the main problem with the M26 Pershing is it uses an 8-cylinder Ford gasoline engine that produces about 500 horsepower. It is the same engine that were used on M4A3 Sherman tanks. Yeah, so basically even though the Pershing has better firepower, better armor than the Shermans, it uses the same engine, and therefore the mobility suffered because the Pershing is heavier than the Sherman tanks. So the main problem is it's not really a medium tank in terms of mobility, and the United States Army wanted a better engine power and horsepower per ton ratio for the tank, so they updated it with better engines, better transmission, and that's the M46 Patton for you. So slight updates from the Pershing, but here is a comparison. So here is the M26 Pershing. Take a good look, memorize it. And here is the M46 Patton. Can you tell me the difference? Not really. The frontal hull is nearly the same. Same goes for the turret. 101mm for the frontal hull as well as the turret. So it's pretty much the same vehicle. Now there is a slight difference in the rear of these two tanks. The Pershing is more rounded at the ass, whereas the Patton is more rhombus shape to accommodate a different engine for better horsepower per ton ratio. But that's the only external feature that's slightly different between these two tanks. Otherwise, they're pretty much the same tank. Pretty much. Now you may wonder, why does the M46 Patton at tier 9 looks a little bit different than the actual historical M46? Well, that vehicle is a hybrid, has the T42's turret, has the Pershing's hull, and it carries 105mm gun, where actual Patton tanks up to the M60 Patton never had the 105mm. So basically the M46, M47, M48 Pattons, initial versions, all carry 90mm guns. The M47s were later upgraded by the Spanish, so they carry 105mm with the M47E2, I believe, and the M48 were updated into the M48A5 to carry the variation of the L7 Royal Ordnance gun. So all Patton tanks up to the M60 all had 90mm, and therefore the Tier 9 version of the Patton, the M46 Patton, is basically a hybrid tank. It's not really an M46 Patton. Now, what is a T42? A T42 is this vehicle. It's an experimental American medium tank designed to replace the Pershing. So it features an egg-shaped, rounded hull as well as the turret. Has a lozenge mantlet, the triangular shape. So this is basically designed from the T37 light tank. It was designed to replace the Pershing, but they never used it. However, they used the hull on the T69 medium tank. So small fun fact, the hull of this vehicle is actually from the T42 medium tank. And they replace the turret onto a Pershing as well as Pattons into the M47 early versions of the M47. So this is basically the same turret from a T42. So yeah, small fun fact, right? Now the main difference between the M47 Patton and the Tier 9 M46 Patton in the game is they modified the hull of the Patton. So they redesigned the whole hull project for the M47. It's better sloped than the Pershing / M46 Patton's hull, and it's basically the same vehicle with a better engine, even better engine. So this is the M47 Patton for you. Now basically the M46 Patton is a stopgap. It's a stepping stone, a very quick stepping stone into the M47 Patton. The M47 Patton was produced and shipped to NATO nations, but Americans never use it for combat, so that's surprising. And then came the M48 Patton, so that's another stepping stone from the M47 to the M48. And then came the M60, so everybody loves the M60, right? So that's a quick history about the Patton series of American medium tanks. But here are the in-game models of the Tiger Patton M46. And here are the HD renders of the M46 Patton KR Tiger. So it looks very pretty. I love it. I love the tiger stripes. I love the claws and teeth. It looks amazing. Now without this decal, without this tiger stripes and stuff, this tank is basically a Pershing at Tier 8. So yeah, it's disappointing. And it's shocking to see that a simple stuff like a texture change of decals will dramatically affect your opinion about a vehicle. Without this decal, I will never buy this vehicle, alright? It would just look like a Pershing. I already have a Pershing. I like the Pershing. I will not buy M46 Patton stock at Tier 8. But with this decal, I may think about it. So that's surprising to me, how a simple stuff like a texture effect on a different vehicle will affect your overall opinion of this tank. But yeah, this tank looks pretty. Oh man. Oh yeah. Reminds me of Randy Savage. Macho Man Randy Savage. Snap into a Slim Jim. But this tank looks amazing. Looks awesome. I love it. American tanks, even better. Bias, but yeah, I love it. It's great. It's great. Oh, a lot of tiger puns. Well, Macho Man is not a tiger. He could be. But here are the collision models for this vehicle. It's basically a Pershing tank, so 101mm at the front of the frontal hull, so it's not going to bounce that many shots. You do have some strip of 140 for this small area, as well as around the turret ring, but that's not that much. The mantlet is decent enough, 114mm, so it could bounce a few shots, and that's what's only good saving point about the armor on the Pershing / Patton is you can use the mantlet to bounce a few shots when you go hull down. But other than that, don't expect to bounce that many shots with this vehicle. Side armor is it's okay. Rear armor is The Patton and Pershings are not known for armor, so basically they're used for scouting because the high view range on American medium tanks and used for support. They're the jack of all trades, but master of none type of vehicle. So armor is okay. No armor. It's alright armor. But here are the main stats for this vehicle. It's going to be a premium tier 8 American medium tank. So it will contest the spot for the Super Pershing. And I believe the Super Pershing will be replaced. So be warned, alright? Be warned. Has 1,450 hit points, which is good, chunky. 810 horsepower engine, weighs 44 tons. So the power to weight ratio is 18.41. Not bad for American medium tank. That's pretty decent. Now it could be like 20-ish horsepower per ton ratio, but that's asking too much. So it's fine. Top speed is 48.3 kilometers per hour. Reverse is 20. Good. Hull traverse is 38 degrees per second. Turn traverse is about 40 degrees per second, which is slightly below average, but it's still workable. It's fine. Terrain resistance is 1.24 for hard, 1.43 for medium, and 2.39 for soft. Oh boy. That's a little bit towards heavy tank status. Actually, that's heavy tank status. So this tank will get bogged down a bit. Ooh, that's rough. View range is 390 meters, 10 less than the actual Pershing. So, it's shocking. Radial range is above 700, so standard. Hull armor is 101 at the front, 76 at the sides, and 51 at the rear. Turret is about the same with 76 at the rear. So you could bounce a few shots from the mantlet, but you should go hull down almost all the time when you're engaged. Gun is a 90mm, fires AP, APCR, and high explosive. Penetration is 192 for standard AP, 243 for APCR, and 45 for high explosive. Damage is 240. It's a tier 8 medium tanks gun, but the penetration is 12 more than the Pershing, I believe. So that's good from a premium tank standpoint. So that's actually pretty decent. DPM is average, 1,975. Rate of fire is about 8.2 rounds per minute. You could increase that to 8.7 rounds-ish, I believe. So, no, 8.9 rounds or so, which is still decent. So DPM should go up to, I say, 2,300, 2,200. That's alright. Reloads every 7.288 seconds. Accuracy is 0.36. Not bad for American guns. Aim time is 2.4 seconds, a little bit slow. Depression is 10 degrees, American. Elevation is 20 degrees. So basically, it's a Pershing tank. The drawback of this vehicle is the terrain resistance. This really catches my eye. It's not that great. It's a heavy tank standard. So this vehicle will get bogged down quite often. The view range is also not as good as the Pershing, so 10 less meters. It's still fine. It's workable. Top speed is slightly slow compared to stuff like 50 kilometers or plus. So, but decent horsepower per ton ratio. Hull traverse is slightly below average, but still workable. So, it's fair. It's a premium tank. Has the Tiger stripes, so it's fair. And let's compare the M46 Patton KR Tiger with the M26 Pershing at tier 8. Now armor wise, the hull armor is pretty much the same. 101mm at the front, 76 at the sides, and 51 at the rear. So hull armor is the same. Turret armor is a little bit better on the Pershing because it's 127 underneath the mantlet, whereas on the Patton it's only 101. So you can see on the tier 9 stock Patton, it's only 101 underneath the mantlet, and the side cheeks are only 86mm. So yeah, it's weaker going hull down than the Pershing. The side of the cheeks is 111. So yeah, hull down is not as effective as the Pershing because of the lack of armor. So that kind of sucks. Oh well. But let's take a look at the other stats. Has 10 more health than the Pershing and above average. That's good. Engine power is better. Horsepower per ton ratio is better and way above average. So good. Top speed is the same. Reverse is the same. Top speed is slightly below average but workable. Okay. Hull traverse is the same. Okay. Turret traverse is the same. So both are below average, but still workable. So it's the same as the Pershing. I guess that's fine. Terrain resistance is, yeah, a lot worse than the Pershing. The Pershing is already below average in terms of terrain resistance. This is like a heavy tank standard of terrain resistance. So I see what you did there. You increased the horsepower per ton ratio, but you also increased the terrain resistance. So, gee, I see what you guys did. Aha! You think you're so smart, increasing the horsepower per ton ratio, but also increasing terrain resistance, so it counterbalance again. God damn it. View range is 10 less than the Pershing, so it's still above average. It's fine. Radio range is the same. Okay. Armor is better on the Pershing for the turret. It's okay. It's fine. So basically, mobility is increased in terms of horsepower per ton ratio, but also decreased in terms of terrain resistance, so it counterbalance. Well, it has better penetration than the Pershing, so that's good for standard AP. Now, what I should mention is that the Pershing's APCR is crazy high in penetration, 268 millimeters of APCR penetration. That's more than enough for tier 10s, whereas this vehicle has 243. So it's not as good APCR, but better AP. Alright, and this vehicle should have normal matchmaking, so it will see up to tier 10s, obviously. So same alpha, but better DPM, so good, that's great. Alright, better accuracy on the Pershing though, so well, 0.36 is not that bad, so it's okay. Aim time is a little bit longer too, 2.4 seconds in comparison to 2.2 seconds, but above average though, so okay. 10 degrees of gun depression and 20 elevation, so the same. Basically, you have a weaker turret on the Patton, which is not that great, but you have better AP penetration and better DPM. So if you're top tier, this vehicle should be good at making credits. Whereas if you're bottom tier, the APCR shell is not as effective, so you cannot penetrate tier 10s as reliably as the Pershing firing gold shell. It's a okay-ish trade-off, but what is disappointing is the terrain resistance. It's super low or super high, so bad in comparison. Oh well. And the final opinion about the M46 Patton KR Tiger is that this vehicle is basically a Pershing tank with slightly better AP penetration and DPM, so making credits and training your crews with it is not that bad. It's pretty decent. However, if you're facing tier 10s and tier 9s, the APCR gold shell is not as effective as the Pershing. So that kind of sucks, but it's okay. Also, you have a better horsepower per ton ratio, but that comes at the cost of terrain resistance, so it counterbalance each other out. So therefore, this tank is basically the same in terms of mobility as the Pershing. Oh, it's fair. It's a premium tank. Has less view range by 10 meters, so it's still workable. It's above average by 5 meters. Okay. And the tiger stripes, the teeth and claws adds +1 to the awesomeness of this vehicle, so that's good. So basically, it's not a bad premium tank, and you use it to make credits and train your crews. It's pretty fair, I like it. The standard AP is great, so 192 millimeters in comparison to 180 on the Pershing. That's great. Usually do not use a lot of gold shell with this vehicle, so that's fine. But this vehicle brings up two problems, so which are the first one, what about the Super Pershing at tier 8? So usually we do not have two premium tanks at the same tier for the same nation for the same category. So basically, what about the Super Pershing? I believe that vehicle is going away. So yeah, I highly recommend you buying a Super Pershing. It's basically a heavy tank. You can bounce almost any shots fired at it. Even Waffenträger E100, doesn't matter. Even Jagdpanzer E100, even though it doesn't face tier 10s, it has preferential matchmaking. So that's what good? What's so good about the Super Pershing? I highly recommend you buying a Super Pershing. But yeah, this vehicle is not that bad. It's surprising how, well, the second problem is it's surprising how some decals like tiger stripes, claws, and teeth painted onto a vehicle changes dramatically the opinions about this tank. If this vehicle does not have the tiger stripe, does not have the paint whatsoever, it's just basically a stock M46 Patton at tier 8, and people will take a look at it and go, it's basically a Pershing, so why the hell would we spend money on it? But it has tiger stripes and claws. A simple texture change shifted the opinions of a lot of people, so I found that extremely surprising. And what if we have all these stuff normally for normal tanks? For example, going to your customization, emblems and inscription tab or exterior tab for your vehicle. If you can choose like tiger stripe paint, choose leopard stripes or racing car stripes, whatever, that adds so much for such a small effect. The texture effect is not that important or highly detailed as making the models of the tank and making the small screws and hammers on a tank. That takes a long time in comparison to making a texture effect. So yeah, just add some texture effect and holy crap, you add more value to your customization and personalization of the tank. Make the tanks more enjoyable to play with. So simple small stuff, but as you can see, with that simple small stuff, it dramatically changes your opinion about this vehicle. If it doesn't have the tiger stripes, this vehicle is basically a Pershing. But it does, well, it looks pretty decent. Holy shit. So yeah, I'm surprised, and it's a very small factor, but it has dramatic changes. Well, it's a small concept, but it has a big factor and changes throughout the whole game. So it's shocking. Now, what also came out of the skins or special decal is the Panzer 58, the Swiss Panzer 58. So as you can see, it has a bear on it. I bet Mizuteo will instantly buy this vehicle. He's just like, oh, Swiss vehicle, buy it. Here, take my money, take it, take it. But that's the same way I feel towards American tanks. So take my money, take it. But yeah, looks amazing. Holy crap. It has a bear on it. It's like a Russian tank though. Well, yeah, Russians are known for bears, and it's green. So yeah, okay, fair, but still looks pretty goddamn decent. Oh, so yeah, pretty awesome looking. I love it. Now, thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.